There are three ways that emotional labor changes every sales conversation. Welcome back to the Sales Pulse, your podcast for architecting successful sales conversations. I'm Marla Koupal, and I'm here to give you some insights on selling as something to celebrate on Labor Day. In a recent blog, Seth Godin said, if we're going to make a difference, we'll need to bring labor to the work, the emotional labor of judgment, insight, and risk. Now, when I think about that in the context of selling, he hits the nail right on the head. Most people imagine sales as a performance. It's memorizing script, it's clever closing statements, it's endless value stacking. But that's not labor, that's theater. The real work of sales, the work that makes a difference, is the emotional labor. The emotional labor, what does that mean? It means you, the seller, bring respect to the room, to the conversation, to the buyer. You, the seller, carry the weight of listening longer to your buyer than feels comfortable for you. You're willing to ask clarifying questions instead of making assumptions and rushing to seal the deal. You're willing to risk silence while the buyer thinks about what they want to do. If you see silence as a no, you're going to lose a lot more sales than just waiting for them to speak up again. And don't assume there's going to be a no or a rejection. But your labor is you do risk rejection every time you go out there, but not really if you choose to see it as just part of the job. Risk isn't rejection. It's the willingness to face an unknown and stay present. You risk being honest. It may feel a bit awkward to you and instead of polished and smooth, but people like that you are real. They aren't looking for some manicured conversationalist. So all of that is judgment. It's your insight, and that's a risk. It's a risk and it's labor because it costs something. It costs you your comfort zone. As a sales conversation architect, what I show my clients is they can design each sales conversation. Conversations aren't gimmicky or verbally entertaining like a script. They're just a moment-by-moment conversation with the person that you have in front of you. Sales conversations that work take courage and the kind where you show up. You're ready to put in the emotional equity that it takes to build a relationship with someone, even if it's just a short-term relationship. Here are the three elements of this successful conversation for you on this Labor Day. Judgment. It's when you set aside your ego and you slow down and you're ready to discern what the buyer really values. When your attention's on the buyer, you cannot screw up a sales call. And don't think about what you want to highlight. You know what? They'll bring up just the right amount of information that's going to let you share what was appropriate for them. Insight. It's when you connect the dots between their words, their hesitations, and their goals, and you keep your assumptions to yourself. Just ask open-ended questions that allow them to illustrate what they're seeking or thinking or just have thought about, and you might find yourself in a whole new field of sales success. And risk. How many times are you in a sales conversation, you go, oh, I want to know that, but I better not ask that because it's going to take a lot longer to get this call done, or, oh, I don't want to set up a roadblock. Listen, ask the questions that your intuition tell you to ask. If there's an objection that seems to be hiding, they haven't said it, then name it. If you sense something, get those feelings in there and clarify what's not been said yet. So here's the paradox. Most sellers are exhausted because they're avoiding the last three steps. They're trying to perform instead of engage. They're pushing features instead of pulling meaning from the buyer. What is the meaning to the buyer that is connected to this product? That's where your sales success will be created. And that's why salespeople get tired. When they're pretending and they're not showing up and being fully present. Just be the genuine you that you know how to be. My clients are entrepreneurs, coaches, and small business owners who absolutely know what does not work, and they may be able to sell themselves, but they have to train their teams. When I see people who are tired of spinning their wheels with posts and pitches and trying to persuade all day long, and there's zero conversion, then it's time for a little bit of a sales tune-up. And those awkward chat messages that are as cold as a winter's day, because there's no effort, there's no warmth, there's no presence in those messages, those can be changed too. Those just need a little more focus on how a sales conversation works out in writing. What buyers want is to be felt as well as seen. If you, the seller, want to be felt by your buyers, you'll have to expend some emotional labor. So here's the good news. Emotional labor doesn't drain you. It actually grounds you. It connects you to the person you're engaging with. It makes your sales conversation effective and deeply satisfying. Because at the end of the day, you don't smooth talk anyone, and you don't spam them with all sorts of discounted offers. You let them really just be in their own presence and make their own decisions. When you architect a sales conversation, it means you've used questions, you've listened, you've played back and forth with all the possibilities around your product, and they are confident when they say yes. So here's your conversation challenge for the week. In your next 3 sales conversations, take one moment to stop and ask yourself, am I performing or am I doing emotional labor? Did I take the risk of listening? Really listening? Did I build a trust with this person that will last us for the next conversation? That's not just how you sell better. That's how you build trust that lasts. The difference that you'll make when you make these differences and these shifts in your conversations, you're going to set yourself up for repeat sales and referrals when you allow the buyer to go at their pace in your conversation. You stay present, you ask the questions that feel risky to you, and you allow your buyer to create their own choices. Then you've built a buyer that's going to be a repeat buyer, and they're most likely someone who's going to refer people to you. So the labor that So I celebrate the labor you bring to your sales efforts because it is labor. So have a great Labor Day and tune in same time next week for the Sales Pulse and get more tips on how it is you're going to architect those conversations that work